going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review a 2013 mixtape by Young Scooter. Basically, this product is called Street Lottery, and it came out in the winter of 2013. So the thing about this particular product is just the fact that Young Scooter was affiliated with two particular booming record labels as far as this pitch can happen. For one of which was Gucci Mane's 1017 Brick Squad Records, which was some pretty good fare unlike the mixtape scene, like throughout the early 2010s and so on. Within those particular pitches, folks like Waka Flocka, Slim Duncan, Frenchie, Woo Da Kid, some of those type of folks in particular, I'd have to say. But then also, Young Scooter was also pretty heavily affiliated with Future's Free Band Gang from like the early 2010s as well. Folks like Casino and Future, of course, and other FBG members. So I don't know as full bound, I'd have to say, but I'm gonna have to get to some more of those type of folks. But he was definitely one amongst the ones. I remember Young Scooter had a pretty notable verse on Future's song from FBG, the movie Mixtape from 2013. The song Everything Hours. I continue to thoroughly enjoy that song. It's definitely a standout from that particular mixtape, so I would check that song out just within the fare. But just the way he wrote that particular flow on that song, I wanted to see if he had other songs where he eviscerates some of those type of ones. I would have to say that this is a classic mixtape here, simple enough to kind of see. Just continued stock mixtape heat within the highlight of it. Just like a vintage kind of Chief Keef or Meek Mill or Rick Ross tape, some of those type of folks, Yo Gotti, folks like that. I'd have to say just tons of these folks who are dropping those gems. Gucci Mane, Waka Flocka, Slim Duncan, some of these type of folks. Future, obviously, folks like that. Casino, I just would have to say is just within the tone as far as being able to say that this is just more of that particular prolificness. And the full bound thing about it is this particular product did not catch as much full bound attention. Now this particular mixtape at least had a couple music videos for it, some singles, just pitches like that, but it's just kind of the concept seems more off the wayside. Don't know how much full blown kind of commonplace practice that Young Scooter really gets talked about on like the mainstream kind of scale of things. It seemed like he was more popping. I think he's at least around and is obviously pretty close. I think he's probably within the millionaire range and pitches like that, I'd have to say, but it's just kind of the concept as far as questioning just the full-blown appeal that he continued to have. Because when you think of folks off to the wayside around this particular trajectory, like folks like YG Hootie and folks like Frenchie and Woo Da Kid and some of those type of folks, Joe Moses, folks like that, Papa Smurf, some of those type of folks, you just would have to say within the particulars as to whether or not their whereabouts. You would assume nowadays that they'd have at least 5 or 6 digits worth of income coming in. But this kind of concept was question is full bound when their mixtape run is back in 2012, 2013, 2014. That's 11, 12, 10 years ago within those pitches, just within the fare behind it. But this is definitely continued prime era, just within the conduct of getting some more mixtape heat, just within the tone. Gucci Mane was tearing things up with that particular type fare, so it's just a particular type of appeal. This is like a good conduit type mixtape and good joint venture that was kind of brought to you by both Future and Gucci Mane at the same time. So some good appeals for that. But yeah, this is a stuffed mixtape. Just being able to say, just really has some blitzing type appeals. There's 22 songs in here, and minus the intro, basically narrows it down to 21. And out of those 21, I wound up recommending every song minus the song Beautiful Day. So just to talk about that one real quick. That one was just kind of a glissy, quick. Beautiful Day with Travis Porter was just kind of a glissy, quick pace type one that just didn't have as much full bound appeal. This felt like a blurry type one within the fashion behind, but just didn't have the usual type conic within the fare behind. It's pretty much like the only true one that didn't have like the full blown pizzazz. But even for the most part, I'd say this is still a relatively good song within the sense. So basically, yeah, this mixtape gets a 10 out of 10. Just what I had to say. Plenty of blistering ones on here. Some mixtape drill, not as heavy as like Casino and Future get, but just within the conduct of having that stock kind of mixtape heat should take you back to folks like Chief Keef, Future, and like his Pluto album days, and like some of his 2011 mixtapes like Dirty Sprite, some of those type ones, and Streets Watching, some of those particular type ones. Just what I had to say. Probably also like Gucci Mane and Future's joint mixtape Free Bricks, some of those type particular fares just within the pitch behind this. Some good type of appeals for that. This really feels ripped out of just like basic continued early 2010s type of appeal. So the pitch behind it, there were 2 singles off this product. I'll talk about those first just within the pitch of how that goes. One of which was Columbia, the other which was Street License. There might have been more singles, but as far as what Wikipedia recognizes, these are the 2 ones with music videos. So these are ones I'm going to talk about just because the information of it is not full blown kind of in mass as far as this pitch can happen. But Columbia is definitely a stock hitter here. It's like a vintage kind of early 2010s mixtape drill breeze, kind of get within that tone, just kind of hair in the wind, kind of cruise around. I'd have to say in like a turn up sense. So it's just kind of a good conduct, just kind of the hypeness, not quite a pounder within the sense of just standing on couches and really tearing things up within the pitch, but just a good conduct of just some excitement that drill brings, but just kind of in a more relative just vehicle type sense of just like some commotion and just being in motion as far as those first having just a standard conduct and just feeling good. Maybe you just left Popeye, something like that. Just have some food in your whip, some pitches like that. Just feeling good, hot sunny day or just hot sunny evening, some of that type of air. Just a good conduct of just figuring out what you're gonna do and just having like getting ready to call up some folks and get some conduct going just within the pitch. So some good type of appeals. Street Lights is a nice one as well. Now this has Gucci Mane and OJ the Juice Man on here. This is obviously a stock type hit. I want to say this is produced by Zaytoven. I was just listening to this song, but there are some Zaytoven beats on here. He's another cat that has that relative affiliation, kind of similar to pretty similar to 2013 Migos with songs like Hannah Montana and some of those type of ones, and like other singles off of their 2013 album. I forget what it's called, but the singles like Hannah Montana and the other one off of Migos 2013 album, but it's also within the same pitch, some Gucci Mane type fare. So this is just a good song overall. It's like a stock kind of Zaytoven residential night saunter to kind of get here. Just some good excitement for after work shift kind of song. Some good excitement for after work shift, I would definitely say here, and it's a good song to get to hype things as far as those pitch kind of. So just kind of a conduct. Both these songs, both Columbia and Street Lights, are some good type of appeals to kind of have for like hypeness that's getting ready to happen later. Kind of amongst more of being like primers just within the pitch, but this one's a little bit more night type fare compared to Columbia's more kind of late day shift of like probably between 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock p.m. is what I'd say for Columbia. But Street Lights is more amidst the night, just kind of figuring out, just kind of getting some smokage in your system within the aspect as far as saying, all right, I'm gonna figure out just kind of after work shift breeze to some of that relative type of appeal, and just kind of this summer nights, just within the aspect of just getting ready to get some hype moments kind of going within it. So this particular project has a lot of pizzazz on here. So like I was saying, like I do with certain mixtapes when they have like a certain amount of songs, like this happens with Casino at times when you get to mixtapes that have over 20 songs on them, and I wind up recommending every single one. It's just kind of the concept that if I were to talk about all 20 or 21 of these particular songs, the particular pitch about us, we'd be here for probably like 35-40 minutes just within the fair. So I'm going to just talk about like 10, approximately 9 or 10, maybe 11 just within the pitch of some of the real standouts, or some of the most immediate ones to kind of go for. Now I realize me giving this project like a 10 out of 10, there's a lot of highlights on here, but in terms of like the ones that you probably need to know about to talk about the ones that you need to know about with the quickness as far as those pitch can happen, just kind of the conduct. If you're not trying to sift through like the few hours or just the product of really trying to have the commonplace, these are just some ones that kind of shave off sometimes trying to get to some hype ones. So I just would say, now obviously there are some other ones, the tastes are going to be different just within the tone. Like you may go for the Chief Keef song, which I'm not going to talk about an immediacy factor, but it is a nice one, like a relative kind of more vanilla type sense and like a pop rap type sense for the bellas as far as those pitch can happen. There's just some ones like Street Lottery, like Bun B is another nice one that kind of has like some pop rap kind of appeal and like a hustler's makeshift type sense. It's kind of a glissy kind of just makeshift type one, just after work shift, just kind of 6 o'clock p.m. It's just some pitches like that. But yeah, some of these immediate type ones, like I do feel like some of these drill type ones, there's some immediate pounders would be, one of which is Jugathon. It's like a stock and quality kind of strip club night of fury, I'd have to say here. Just a compelling hitter. I would definitely feel like within that tone, just energy kept consistent. I'd have to say this is some pretty good hit drill just within the pitch. Good type tones. I would have expected Future to have been on one of these type songs, but he allows him and Gucci Mane basically allow Young Scooter to kind of get some of these moments and stack up some hits on his own as far as those pitch can happen. Young Scooter was around earlier in the 2010s. He was around since at least 2011 or so, but just within the pitch as far as saying that these are some products of ones that just really had the pounders just getting towards it and just within pretty snap ready to go type fashion. So some good type ones. Dollar Signs is a nice one as well. Now this is not a drill one, but this is just a basic kind of money get and night venue heat to kind of get here. Just some vanilla energy, I would definitely feel like, but stock gem just within that tone. This fills out some lit playlists, I'd say. So this is a concept. This would probably be like a 6 in energy, but it's just the concept that this is an immediate type one, because it's just one of those type ones to kind of have like some night fashion just within the aspect. If you need like mixtape drill or just like some early 2010s mixtape type era, you want something that's intended for night venues and club hopping pitches like that, some dance and pub crawls just within the pitch. Just some good aspects kind of have for some of that fare. Not the most ferocious song on here, but it's just some good ambient kind of energy to just have some vanilla type tunes just for that regular type night, as opposed to having every night just be like a 10 out of 10 some pitches like that. So it's just a basic type one. Another one like that is Come Get Ya Ho. This is like some good type appeals here. It's like a jazzy things getting turned kind of night pizzazz kind of get within that tone. This one's a little bit more ramped up than Dollar Signs, but still a relatively almost vanilla type one. This is like some kickstart kind of dap, I'd say, within the pitch behind it. Snacks out, definitely get ready for some hype as far as those pitches going to happen. Now, like the particular kind of twinkly type production on Come Get Ya Ho, this reminds me of something that Future would have done on like his Pluto album or Astronaut Status, some of those type of ones in particular. Just mixtape Future pitches like that, some good type of appeals. 2012 or 2011, I definitely have to say, good nice ones there. Listen to the Streets, another real standout. This is probably one of the most immediate ones, just like Jugathon. In terms of like if you're looking for that pounding kind of Waka Flocka Gucci Mane kind of mixtape drill, it's definitely a real vehement type one. Goes pretty well with Columbia. I'd say the lead single is like a sparkling and snaring kind of trap beat to kind of get here. Just some turn up routine drill. I would definitely feel like within the aspect. Definitely some turn up to kind of get here. Just a routine kind of drill highlight. I would definitely feel like, and this keeps the energy red hot. I'd have to say within the tone behind. So it's definitely one just a real fashionable type one. Just kind of get for some consistency. Just real aspect type one. This is some of these ones that Young Scooter just particularly stacks up the heat and does it well. Just within the tone. I am going to briefly note the song Julio with Future because it seems like I may not be talking about the songs with Future, but both songs with Future are of course knockouts. Julio is just one that's like the song by Future, Turn on the Light, that I'd say. So if you like that particular kind of more R&B hip hop flavor type fashion in like a trap sense, it's kind of the concept about it. It's kind of more just melded just like that. It's kind of a more Bella's type one, just in a more ambient type sense for just like some more kind of glissy, just kind of fizzy type sense I had to say within the tone behind. It's a pretty good pop rap type appeal in like a mixtape sense. Then Jug Season's like a relative kind of trap turn up, just in a little bit more woozy type sense I'd had to say about it, just within the aspect. Not quite as ferocious as Listen to the Street and Jugathon and like Migo and some of those type of ones, but it's relatively fiery within the sense. I'd say it's one of the more turned up songs on this particular product. So some good type tones. So it's just good. I'm not going to talk about that one with the description, but it is a nice one on there. Migo is a nice one. Now there are some songs on here that don't feature Young Scooter. It's kind of the concept. The last three songs at the end of this is basically by Schist Red, The Runts, and Jose Guapo. So these are folks. The songs Migo, Finessin', and Come Get Ya Ho are all songs that don't feature Young Scooter. I already talked about Come Get Ya Ho. So the thing about that particular song, despite the fact that I gave it a description, that is a song that doesn't have Young Scooter on there. Same thing with Finesse. I'm going to get to that one. But then Migo, this is probably one of the better songs on here in terms of the pacing. Migo is like a jamming kind of trap riler to kind of get within that pitch. Just reminds of Vintage Future or FBG type conduct, just within some of those type folks that I'd say. Free Band Gang, some of those type folks. It's like this basic FBG kind of boiler, just a snaring kind of mixtape heat to kind of get within that tone, some strip club flame to have within those pitches. So it's just the unfortunate thing about this song is just the fact I feel like it's kind of strange that Young Scooter did not provide some particular work on these particular ones. It would have been a good conduct to have kind of had him on some of these type ones. This typical type fare when you get a hit song, but then you realize that the main artist isn't on there. Yo Gotti did that at times as well with some of his mixtapes, but it's just within the conduct. These are still good songs, still recommend them, but it may just be like a minor snag if you're trying to get to know Young Scooter better and you like these particular songs, but you realize that he's not on the songs that you really like when you don't know him that well. It's just kind of within the pitch, but it still works for the hit potential. Just some stock hits that fill out the project. The song Work with Gucci Mane is a nice one as well. This is just like mid-2010s Migos and Zaytoven trap glamour to kind of get within that pitch. Just a routine night of standard push and commerce just to have within that tone. So this is just one. It's like the song title says, just work just within a hustler's makeshift type sense, just standard, just out and about, just within the product of like night glamour, just within the pitch behind it. Just typical standard fare, just getting stuff done, errands, taking care of bills paid, some of that standard just push and just like the product of like a routine kind of activity just in the fare behind. Not as much full bound kind of recreation. Maybe you have like some Swisher shells like in your car as far as those pitch kind of having just in the aspect, but just kind of aspect. Maybe you have some backwood wraps in your car, something like that, but it's just kind of within the concept of a relatively productive type song, just with the aspect behind just standard kind of commerce, just within a more traditional Zaytoven type sense that I'd say within that. So it's kind of Zaytoven, it's residential within the pitch behind it, but it's just kind of more just within a relative productive type sense. So it's just within the tone behind it. Finessin' is a nice one. Now this one goes pretty well with dollar signs, I'd have to say, but once again, this doesn't have Young Scooter on here. It's like a the drill type Benny splash kind of get within that tone. Just reminds of like mid 2000s Jeezy, some of the stuff he was doing on like the Inspiration and like Cold Summer from 2007, and this is like some mild 2010s mixtape flavor kind of get within that tone. This one's a little bit more turned up than dollar signs, I'd have to say, was just within the pitch as far as saying that these are just some basic hoppers kind of get. But yeah, it is somewhat of a sin that Young Scooter is not on this particular song, but the aspect behind it is pretty biting within the sense. It's just some stock heat, just paying attention to concept. If you don't particularly have a full bound kind of widespread knowledge of mixtape drill, you may not even notice as much full bound that Young Scooter is not on this song. Was just within the pitch. There's some good type fair just to have another heater on here. So this works within that. Then Before Rap is a nice one. Now this one's pretty similar to like Come Get Ya Ho. Just kind of this like a dazzling and ambient kind of night venue fun to kind of get within that pitch. Just smoke a joint, kind of social glamour to have within those aspects. Just some simple politicking out just within the tones behind it. So this is one. Just kind of appreciate the marinate within a night venue. Some of those type fairs where the energy's not ferocious. There's not like a drill kind of strip club money throw pitches like that. Just dance like crazy, get pitches, get the ferocious things pitches like that. But it's this kind of concept of just chilling in a booth. Some of that type fair politic and some of that type fair just mingling with Bell is just some of that relative type fair just just appreciating the sparkle and just the dazzle within the night as far as those first having just some good type ambience. Really works for like the pizzazz behind this. Really works for like some standard noises for like that night venue push. Just some good aspects to kind of have for like some recommendations for mixtape songs for night venues for us those pitch can happen. Good type of appeals for that. And then I would say Situation is a nice one as well. It's like a glared kind of evening rumination kind of get here. This one's a little bit more change of pace compared to the rest of the project here. It's like some usual conduct and like a makeshift kind of after hours brush I'd say about this one. Good song to grab Taco Bell and stew a bit just within the tones. So it's just kind of the concept of this one just has a little bit more glimmer type feel just within the aspect. Typically, for the most part, most of this project is more consistent of like the day makeshift, just like some products of just like finishing up moments of like standard hustlers makeshift kind of finishing up the moments of like standard hustlers makeshift or day work shift type commerce within the pitch behind it, like a Traverse type sense, and also like some night venue pizzazz between like drill moments and then just more ambience and house party type of feel. But this is actually one where you just have some extra thoughts and just the moments and just kind of maybe just figuring out what you're going to do, just having like just moments to kind of contemplate as far as this pitch can happen. So those are just some immediate highlights to kind of get within those tones. So I think I talked about every one within the ones I was going to recommend. I think that was like 10 or 11 here as far as those pitches can happen. Talked about some extra ones like Jug Season and Julio, some of those type of ones. Just to be able to say like some extra ones like Street Lottery once again is just like a hustler's makeshift kind of this promo rap kind of single just within the conduct of it. Something that you would feel ripped out of 2008 or 2010. Just kind of something that you would feel ripped out of 2008 or 2010 just within the pitch of like something that's just after worship but just kind of within the conduct of just starry-eyed kind of makeshift within the pitch. It just got done with things. Good type tone for that. And I would say Streets Ain't the Same is like a nice one. This like the sort of song that like Yo Gotti or Meek Mill would kind of do. Just kind of the conduct of just like the standard it's kind of the standard routine kind of evening glaze and like a trap sense I'd say within the conduct of it. Just kind of more just fatigue and like a malaise type sense for like trap just settings as far as those pitch can happen. Just mixtape malaise as far as those pitch can happen. Good type tone for that. Made It Through the Struggles, another one within those relative type pitches. Now this is a pretty nice one. This is one that's pretty similar to Situation, just a little bit more kind of bounce about it just within the pitch. Yeah, Made It Through the Struggle. This has a little bit more bounce, a little bit more ooziness just within the tone behind it, just in the aspect, just real something feels like Migos would have done with like a song like Bad and Bougie, one of those type ones that just has like that oozing factor just about it. Just kind of a more marinate type song kind of get within like a relative just kind of like rumination type sense just in the aspect. I mean, this is kind of it's just standard trap marination within the pitch behind it, but just a little bit more aspect to like some relative kind of commerce kind of pizzazz that I'd say is just kind of within the tone. Very similar songs like Bad and Bougie, Slippery, some of those type ones that just feel like extra time kind of trap afterthoughts. They're not quite singles, not quite club songs, but just within the pitch, it just kind of the concept is still listening to like some just standard trap type music when it's not just turn up or Friday type music within the tone. So some good type tones, just good type moments for that. Just standard one for some rumination. And yeah, just to say there's just a lot of these on here, just plenty of these to be able to get to just within the tone, plenty of these type ones, run your bands out, some of these type ones are pretty nice just within the pitch. So it's just some extra type ones on here, plenty to talk about like I was saying. The concept of this mixtape gets a 10 out of 10. The social score I'll probably give like a 9.5 or a 9.75. I would give it a 10 out of 10 damn near, but I feel like the concept, it just kind of feels like the aspect, I mean, it has like the learning curve. Once you adapt to the learning curve, it definitely feels more vicious to like a 10 out of 10 just because the conduct of all the songs on here have some pretty good social pizzazz. It's not short. Night venue, Friday type songs, Thursday type songs, and makeshift type songs or after worship, some of those type pitches. Just kind of the tone and just folks question whether or not how full bound they're going to know who Young Scooter is. It's kind of within the pitch. Just understand that he's just kind of he's just not an immediate wingman of like Gucci Mane or Future, but he is within the conduct of being a cat that you want to look for when you hear a verse from him because he usually has some pretty good songs. So it's just within the appeal. So I would say the social score would probably just be like a 9.75 just to have like a minor snag. There is some pretty good singles on here. Both Columbia and Streetlights are pretty nice ones. They do have music videos. Good guests on here. Future's on here twice. Chief Keef is on here. Gucci Mane's on here a couple of times. Bun B's on here. Some other folks. Young Dolph is on here. Folks like that. So it's just a good aspect. Just like the standard mixtape kind of conduct just in the pitch behind it. Just standard heat just to be able to get within that blockaded things. Just that to say within the tone. But it's just kind of the concept of just whether or not it just have to understand that these are not Young Scooter is not someone that's full bound that crossed over into like the mainstream spotlight just within the pitch. He may not even have albums out. He has plenty of mixtapes, so it's just within the fair. It's just more underground within the sense, but it is quality underground. It's like YG Hootie, some of these type of folks, Waka Flocka in most senses. It's the concept that it doesn't take too much adaptation to fuck with these folks, but it's definitely worth doing it. So it's not like there's any turmoil about fucking with some of these folks just within the con. So that's the fair. But in terms of the future, I'm not really as full-blown sure. In terms of the future, I'm not really as full-blown sure what young Scooter's been up to in relative times recently. I'd have to say within the pitch, I just would look after the tone. There's some good type conducts here to be able to get. Like I said, I suspect that there's probably more classics brewing just within these pitches as far as that particular fair is going to happen. That's definitely some excellent conduct to kind of get within that tone. But this is an easy kind of early 2010s mixtape classic. Just I'd say within the aspect this Gucci Mane and Future brought pretty blockaded type stuff here, just banner type stuff, signature to like the early 2010s, and just some stuff that easily needs to be checked out. Has some immediate songs on here. Just takes a minor learning curve, but it is worth it.